Welcome to this lesson on the common errors in writing. I am Emmanuel. In the art of writing, every writer is bound to make a mistake. Mistakes are part of writing, we have to agree, but sometimes the errors become too pronounced that they affect the quality of the writing. This is why in many examinations, particularly the external examinations, like sub-regional examinations done in West Africa and other examinations, the examiners pay particular attention to the mistakes that occur in the process of the writings, and some marks are actually deducted for the errors committed. In this lesson, we would take a look at 10 of the common errors in writing. So, sit back, enjoy, and you may take some notes where necessary. The first set of errors we look at would be the ones that affect spelling patterns. So we tag this inconsistent spelling patterns. We know that the English language has different varieties. As a matter of fact, the British variety is very popular, just as the American variety is popular. Examiners do not try to prevent us totally from using these patterns, but in very many cases, they demand that we stick to particular varieties. So if as a writer, you choose to go with British variety of English, it is left for you to stick to the pattern of spellings used by the British. So for instance, we have some little changes or omissions in the spelling forms of American English when we compare them to the British English forms. It is possible in a British word to have a spelling occurrence of A and E, but the American system might remove the A and maintain only the E. It is also possible to have O and E in British, but the American system would delete the O and maintain the E. Spelling occurrences, particularly the ones that go with OUR in British systems, always end up being taken as OR in American systems. Of course, words that end with RE in British language turns out to end with ER in the American system. We cannot forget the fact that letter A's and can change to Z or Z as the Americans call it. We can't also forget that where the British would double some letters before adding ED, the Americans would maintain the single letters. This is apart from the fact that words that end with UE at the end, sometimes in the American system, drop the UE. So we have some examples on the screen as we have anemia. You would see the AE in the British, while we have the E alone in the American. Fetus, O is missing in the American variant. Color, U is missing in the American variety. Neighbor, U is missing again. Center, ER in the American system. Fiber, ER in the American system. Analog, UE missing in the American system. Analyze, Z or Z, used in place of S, criticize, the same thing as analyze, traveled. One L is missing in the American variety. So when you want to write, you are expected to stick to a particular pattern and follow through to the end to avoid confusions. The next set of errors occurs with the use of homophones. This is very common with those of us who are second language speakers when it comes to the English language. So foreign learners, what we hear in many instances sound the same, and this comes up with a problem of spellings. What do we get in return? We end up using words and spellings that do not suit our intentions. The spellings betray us and the meanings change, therefore the grammar system breaks to pieces. Imagine the examples on the screens as we have them. Number one, she has been great. Now being is not supposed to be there. Why? Because being is a continuous form of be. Has in the sentence requires a perfect tense to follow it. So we should have had been instead of being. In the second instance, the brake of the car got damaged. Brake in that instance, B-R-E-A-K, is wrongly used. It should have been B-R-A-K-E because you're talking about a car. The third examples, I am grateful. It is possible that a second language user of English would estimate from great and add full to it to get grateful without knowing that that would be a totally different word. So grateful will make way for grateful. A third set of errors occur when we talk about the agreement between subjects and verbs in sentences. The agreement is sometimes called concord. There is a background assumption that in every declarative sentence, the subject in the sentence must agree in number with the verb in that sentence. So what we are saying is, if the subject, the performer in the sentence, or the element being described in the sentence, that's the subject, is singular, then the verb has to be singular. And if the subject is plural, then the verb has to be plural. But there is a little situation that we have to always pay attention to. What you do to a noun to become plural, if you do it to a verb, it becomes singular. So if I add letter S to a verb, it changes to singular. As we have the examples on the screen, she have done the job. It's a possible mistake. She is singular as a pronoun. Have is plural. They can't exist together. So that should have been has. 2. Neither the man nor his daughters knows me. Now look at what we have here. We have two subjects, so to speak, standing, the man, daughters. It's possible that we may be struggling to pick the one to go. Some people pick the first one, some join the two together, but this should not be. When you see conjunctions that are correlative in nature, neither, nor, either, or, you pick the second subject against the verb and leave the first one. So in that example, I should pick daughters. So daughters would be plural. No will now be my plural. So there's no way I would use daughters knows me, because that will be plural singular. In the third example, the same situation arises again. Either the girls or the man know me. This is a wrong occurrence. Man singular, knows is supposed to be singular, taking is also. So we forget about the girls in this case and go for the man knows me. There are so many rules when it comes to Concord. It is hoped that a separate video will be used to treat these aspects of the English language. Number 4, or this next set of rules, is the indiscriminate use of capital letters. Capital letters are meant for emphasis. Traditional system of writing is based on small letters, and capital letters are only used to start sentences, to begin the spellings of proper nouns, or for the sake of emphasis, or that is in instances where we write titles to our works. So if I have, as it is in example 1, I will see you tomorrow. Will see you tomorrow, as presented in this example, all appear with initial capitals. This would be wrong. The second example says, everyone is unique on earth. Is unique on earth should not begin with capital letters. They should begin with small letters, because none of them is a proper noun, and they are not beginning quotes, they are not beginning sentences. Of course, you should not also write using capital letters all the way, except you're writing a title, and if you use capital letters all the way, then you should not underline. Another set of errors would be unnecessary splitting of words. There are words which sound as if there are two separate ideas in them. Well, accepted. Two separate ideas come together to form them, but this is not the pattern that the English language works with every time. This is very common when you look at linking words. As given in the examples, moreover, it's not supposed to be spaced out. Example 2 has indeed. Now the intended meaning is certainly. So if what you mean is certainly, there's no way in and did should be put apart. They should be together. In the third example, nonetheless, again, is a linking word, should stand together. There's no need to split them into units. Cannot is a very common one, should be together, although this looks like a confusion when we look at the fact that when we write do not, we do not spell together. When we write would not, we do not spell together. But in the case of cannot, probably this is one of the exceptions out of the so many exceptions that we have in the English language rules. Another set of errors comes in form of wrong merger of words. To merge means to join, to bring together. So in this set of errors, a writer joins words that should stand separately. So something like after all, because we say after all, just as I say after all now, someone would be tempted to write the two words together. No, we should have after all. Second example, in fact. Well, it runs when we use the two of them. The sound stream runs in fact. We shouldn't spell together. There should be a space to separate the two words. At times is another one that should give us at times. Two separate words. Then the last one, in spite of. In spite is commonly written as one word, probably because people estimate it to be the same thing as despite. Well, we should actually have three separate words in spite of. So I have in space, spite space, then of at the third word. Another set of errors comes in form of wrong plural formations. This is a case when we deal with countable and uncountable nouns, things called count and non-count nouns. Now, an uncountable noun is a noun that does not have a singular or plural form as it exists. So, which means there is no way you say this is the singular form, this is the plural form. Many of these words exist, and when we use them, the fact that we have an idea of plural in our minds does not mean that we have to add s to them. So as given in the examples, information should remain information, not informations. Advice should remain advice, not advices, especially when it is C. The one with C is the noun form. Furniture should remain furniture. There is no way we should have furnitures. Software should remain software. It is unnecessary to add s to the have softwares. Well, someone might ask, so what would then give us the singular form of this? Briefly, someone could have a piece of information. That will give me something singular. But if I don't want to break out, everything is information, not informations. The next group of errors come in form of weak punctuation. There are very many punctuation marks to be used, and each of the punctuation marks brings a form of beauty and meaning to what is written. The comma probably is the most abused, omitted, ignored, or if you like, misused punctuation mark. Why do I say so? In very many cases, the comma might need to appear more than once in a sentence, but you may not find the comma even once. Look at the first example given. Joy, my friend, is a good person. Joy is a noun, my friend is a noun phrase. Those two units stand for the same person, so my friend is actually explaining joy. It would have been better if I had joy, comma, my friend, comma, is a good person. So in that case, it would be easier for someone to know that I have my friend as a modifier on joy. Example 2 says, what a wonderful world. It looks as if we are starting a question, but that sentence is a sentence of surprise or shock. So it should end with an exclamation mark, not a question mark. The third one says, the boy said that he knew us. By the sentence pattern, indirect speech, report speech is used. Boy said that, then there is no need for quotation marks again. If at all the writer in this instance wanted to use the quotation marks, then the sentence should have changed. The boy said, comma, quotation open, I know you, or I know all of you, quotation close. And in that instance, quotation would have been used because the writer would have been on the direct words that the original speaker used. But when the words had been manipulated to become reports in the words of the writer, not the original speaker, then quotation marks failed in the sentence. Another set of errors comes in form of weak spellings. Well, this is a problem nearly everyone faces. Even advanced writers face this problem. That's because we have very many words in English. Maybe it would be comforting to say that it is not easy for someone who is learning the English language as a second language to know all the words that the English people use, including their spellings, especially as we know that pronunciations do not match spellings always in the English language. So check example 1 out. Whenever you use a quote, please cite the author. So which of the sites will I use? I know about SIGHT, that has to do with the eyes. I know about SITE, that has to do with an environment where something takes place, particularly construction and buildings. Then I know about CITE, which means to make reference to something. The sentence here brings up the idea of making a reference, so I should have gone with CITE, not SIGHT. The second example says, I will meet you at the quay. Well, there is a place, a harbor, a place at the dockyard called a quay. And look at the spelling, Q-U-A-Y. K-E-Y in this instance probably points to what we use to open the door. Or if you use it as an adjective, to become something important. So Q-U-A-Y would have been better here. 3. We are auxiliary staffers. There is a mistake in the spelling of auxiliary there, because many people think it will be LL before I. Some even think it should be LL, no I. But the correct form is 1L, 1I. The last group of errors in this video is substandard abbreviations. Let me say this from the beginning, that the use of abbreviations is not very suitable in writing. This is because not everyone knows what the abbreviations stand for. An abbreviation in Nigeria, for instance, could be different from the full form of that same abbreviation if the abbreviation is used in another country. So what do we have here? Most of the time, people also shorten words that do not even suggest any form of standard abbreviation. The social media has been heavily blamed for this. But we should look at it as a mark of laziness for a writer to think of writing in short forms from the outset. So while the social media allows us to use short forms while we are communicating, we need to remember that a communication with a friend who understands our system of messaging is different from writing something for a larger public. This is because people come from different backgrounds. So, why do I need to write PLS for please when I am writing in the office? Of course, the expressions, the choice of words needed in the office environment should be formal. And everywhere we go, formal and polite systems of expressions are needed. So, as it is given in example 1, please make out time to visit us. It may make sense to me because I do use that system. It may be senseless to someone else who doesn't know that number 2 can bring the idea of TO. Second example, I need to see you tomorrow. This is as bad as the first, if not worse. How does someone from a different environment know that C is for SEE, U is for YOU, 2 MORO is for tomorrow? Then the third example, I work with the NCDC. Now NCDC might be a standard abbreviation, but what if the person does not know what NCDC stands for? What if the person knows something different about NCDC? Because to me, it might be National Center for Disease Control. To another person, it might be Nigerian Center for Disease Control. Another person might say National Communication Development Center. It will still be NCDC. In subsequent videos, we would look at how to use formal abbreviations. But let me quickly say that if you want to use formal abbreviations, especially when it comes to names of organizations, the name of the organization must be written out first, then the abbreviation given in brackets at the first instance. Then after that point, the abbreviation can be used continuously in the writing. This is how far we can go in this lesson. Thank you very much for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you've not done so yet. Of course, give a big thumbs up to like the video if you enjoyed it, and do not forget to share it on social media. It's your way of supporting our efforts. Thank you very much. I remain Emmanuel Joseph.